Chapter 4. Arthur Marries. Governing Britain kept Arthur very busy. He established his capital at Camelot, and brave knights from throughout the country came to serve him. Many said that during good King Arthur's reign, Britain would become peaceful and prosperous. Looking at Camelot, one could see that this was so. Flower-filled meadows, fountains, and lush greenery provided the backdrop for lively court life. Birds of every color flitted through the trees, and noble men and women dressed in fine clothing strolled along the well-kept lawns and pathways. Arthur was devoted to his knights and his subjects and had little time to think about his own needs. Still, when he had few moments to himself, his thoughts turned to Guinevere, the daughter of King Leodegrance. As was his custom when making any decisions that would affect the realm, Arthur consulted Merlin. The wizard looked gravely at the king, for he knew that a marriage with Guinevere would bring shame to the court. Yes, Guinevere had fallen in love with Arthur, but she was destined to fall more deeply in love with another knight. But Arthur wanted Guinevere and was determined to marry her. He asked Merlin to go to Leodegrance's castle at Camelot and announce his intentions. Merlin did so. To Leodegrance's delight, as a wedding gift, Leodegrance sent Arthur the Round Table, which had been given to him by Arthur's father, Uther Pendragon. 150 knights could be seated at the table, but Leodegrance had only 100 to send to Arthur with his gift. The others had been killed or captured. While Arthur prepared for his grand wedding, Merlin was sent to find 50 knights to fill the empty seats or sieges. Merlin returned with 28 men worthy of sitting at the Round Table. Over the course of Arthur's reigns, other worthy knights would prove themselves in battle and take their places at the table. When all 150 were filled, then the knights would be called to the noblest challenge they would ever face, and only one would be found worthy to achieve it. The Archbishop of Canterbury came to bless the seats, and then the knights took their places. When they rose, their names were written in gold letters on their sieges. One siege were the words Siege Perilous. Here we can see the siege name, and it's etched. And next to that seat were 2 seats with no names on them. Arthur was so happy that Guinevere was to be his wife, he proclaimed that any man who asked for a gift would be granted his wish on the wedding day, as long as it was a reasonable request. Gawain, son of King Lot, and Igraine's sister Margawise came to ask Arthur to bring him a knight. Arthur was pleased to do as his cousin asked, and he happily agreed to grant the wish on Gawain's wedding day. Next came a poor cowherd to ask for a gift of the king. This man brought his son and requested that Arthur make a knight of the boy. The cowherd explained that he had 13 sons. All but this boy, called Tor, agreed to work in the fields and tend the animals. Tor thought only of battles and glory. "Do you have a sword?" Arthur asked. The boy showed Arthur his sword. Arthur took the sword, motioned for the boy to kneel, and touched his neck with the blade. "I will make you a knight. May you live to prove your worth and take your seat at the Round Table," he said to Tor. Arthur asked the cowherd to bring his other sons to the court. When he looked at the other boys, he knew that Tor must not be the cowherd's son. Arthur looked at Merlin, who told him, "Tor comes from royal blood. His father is the most able King Pellinore." The wedding took place in the church of St. Stephen's on Pentecost. Kings from all over Britain and many other countries attended, including King Pellinore. After the ceremony there was a feast at which Arthur knighted Tor and Gawain. Looking at the Round Table, Arthur asked Merlin, "Why are those 2 seats empty and no names inscribed on them?" Merlin explained that the names of the knights who would sit in those sieges would be revealed when they arrived to claim their places. As for the siege with the words, Siege Perilous, one man was destined to sit there. Anyone to sit there other than that man was doomed. Then Arthur took King Pellinore by hand and led him to a seat next to one of the empty seats. Gawain turned pale and looked at his brother Gaheris. Both men hated Pellinore for killing their father, King Lot, but Arthur's hatred for Pellinore gave way to a greater appreciation of Merlin's wisdom. The wizard's words had once again been true. Now Pellinore was a knight of the Round Table.